Today, we're going to be doing the Hello World program, the introductory program to any programming language or really programming in general. And the language we're going to be using today is Java. So, first things first, when learning any new programming language, learn it like you would a spoken language, and keep in mind that really to learn it, you have to learn full sentences. And only after you really understand those sentences do you go back and start really picking them apart grammatically, or you do those things in parallel. So, first things first, I'm using text editor, Sublime, and the command line or the terminal. I'm just doing that because I'm a bit of a minimalist and I like to keep things nice and simple in terms of what I'm using. But you are welcome to use, since this is Java, something like Eclipse or Code Blocks, whatever you like, which will handle a lot of stuff for you. So if you're feeling a little uneasy about the terminal usage, don't worry, you can use something else and then just click a button and it'll compile and run your code. But I'm going to be doing this. So first things first, before I even start to type, let me save this as a Java file. So I'm just going to save this on my desktop, and I'm going to save it as hello.java. All right. Java is a little bit notorious for having a lot of keywords. Keywords are, well, let me just type something and show you. Public class hello in some brackets. So keywords are these things here that Sublime has highlighted, except for the green, and I'll get to that in a second. And they are things that Java recognizes. They have significance and they're telling Java certain things. So for now, I'm assuming this is your first program. Everything in Java is a class. So this is not something that's all programming languages. This is something that's Java. Everything is a class. Don't worry too much about, well, why is everything a class? We'll get to that later on. But for now, everything in Java is a class. Public is exactly what it sounds like. I could have also put private or protected depending on what I'm doing. Public just means it's open access. Other Java files can access this class. Hello is, well, I call it hello. All right. So now, every program needs some form of a main function. Which is a function, or really in Java they're called methods. If you learn something like C, they'd be called functions. But regardless of what you call them, every program needs a main. That is a thing that it goes to, it looks for, to start running the code there. So I'm going to write the main function here in Java, and it's a bit of a mouthful. It is public static void main, and then inside the parentheses I need to put string args bracket and yes, and then curly braces. Okay, here's what I mean. Java's notorious for lots of keywords. Okay, public, open everybody. Static is a little hard to explain right now, but what I will say is that you have classes in Java and you can make objects from those classes. Something that's static just means it exists there whether or not you've made an object. Again, right now, that's like, whoa, that's a lot of stuff. I don't know what an object is. I'm in over my head. No one does when they start Java. So static will make more sense as you go on. Void is the return type. So when you call a method, when it's done, it usually will return something, unless you put void. Void means this method does not return anything. It is a main method, so I've called it main. And it takes in a string. So a string is just inside double quotes, a bunch of characters or digits, so it is a string, is what they're called in computer science. Args here is short for arguments. It is a variable name. You could call it something else. So this is just, you could pass into the main a bunch of strings. We're not going to be doing that here, but yeah, you need to put this every time you compile a Java program. All right, so now what do I want to do? Well, I want to print hello world out to the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do system.out.println. And every line of code other than the name of a class or a method requires the use of a semicolon. That tells, we're done. This is the end of the line. So this is system.out.print, and the ln stands for line. What this is going to do is whatever I put inside these parentheses here, it's going to print it out to the screen, and it's also going to print what's called a new line. A new line is like when you hit enter on the keyboard. Bam. That was a new line right there. So you actually have to explicitly tell when you're printing out strings, you have to put something in that tells it, hey, I want to do a new line. Or, use this and it'll do it for you. Okay, so inside of here, I'm going to use double quotes, and I'm just going to put hello world. Let's put an exclamation point. Hello world. All right. So let me save this. And I'm now going to switch over to the terminal and go to compile this program. All right. So now I'm going to I'll be switching over to my command line. All right, here I am. And now this is actually called the terminal in a Mac. If you're on Windows, it will be a command line, and a lot of the commands will be different. I'm using a Mac though, so keep that in mind. This is a Linux-based system. So I'm over here. I'm going to see where I am. So ls. Okay, so I am in the default location. I want to get to the desktop. That's where my file is saved. So I'm going to do that. CD stands for change directory, and I'm going to the desktop. All right, I'm here. ls, and I can see here's my Java file right here, hello.java. Now I want to compile this, so what I'm going to do is call the Java compiler. I don't know why I paused there. I'm going to call the Java compiler. That's javac, and I'm going to put in my file hello.java. Go ahead and run that. There we go, no problems. And if I list, you're going to see that I've got a hello.class here. So now I can go ahead and run my Java program if I do Java, not javac, but just Java, and then just hello. And there we see it said hello world. So what happened here is it took the .java, the code I've written, it converted it to a class file. Remember I mentioned that you need classes in Java? It converted it to that. So now I can call the Java virtual machine. This is a virtual computer, actually, that is going to take this and run it and spit it out. So there we go, and it printed out hello world. And notice, it didn't say hello world and then immediately start this line right here. It spaced down. And that's because I used system.out.println. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to Sublime. Okay, so here we are. Having seen it printed out, I just wanted to clarify a few things. That once again, we're using this to print it out. And what's going on is that I'm calling the system, which is what it sounds like. I'm calling out, so that's for output. There's also a system.in for if you were reading stuff in for a different program. And then once I've called the outputting stuff of the system, if you like, I am then calling the println method, and I'm telling it to print out what I give it right here. And then, of course, to put a new line afterwards. So there we go. That is the Hello World program in Java.